We are coming into the midpoint of the season. Waiver wires have lost their luster. So today I'm bringing you 5 trade targets that can actually help you win your league in 2021 fantasy football. And we're going to get to that right now. Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind YouTube channel. My name is Bob Van. Welcome in if you are new. And if you are new, I do hope you consider subscribing to the channel. Please leave a like if you enjoy the video. Comment down below who your favorite trade target is from this video or who your favorite trade target is, period, going forward. With all that said, let's hop right into my trade targets. Now, real quick, there are some parameters here. These are not necessarily buy low targets. You're not going to be grabbing these guys for pennies on the dollar or anything like that. You're going to have to pay up for these guys in Dynasty, but they are truly players that I think could win you a league this season. The first player that I want to mention is Saquon Barkley, running back on the New York Giants. Now, the fact that you probably cringed when I said that, with him dealing with his injuries coming back this season, tells me that he is a pretty good trade target. He is working his way back from a high ankle sprain. That is a-okay. That is fine. We want him to kind of sit out until his bye week passes, because after that bye week, it's pretty much easy running back matchups for him the rest of the way. Like I mentioned, when I first mentioned his name, you're probably like, oh, gross. Managers feel that exact same way, and they're probably looking to pivot if they can. When you think about it, they were out on him all last year with an ACL injury, held on to him that entire time, and never really got to enjoy the fruits of that torture they went through last year. So the way I look at it, managers are more than likely panicking. He's got great matchups the rest of the year, so you're going to have to pay up for the guy still. But at the end of the day, you're getting an A1 running back that when he's healthy, you're slotting him into your lineup, no questions asked. When it comes to the price, you're obviously going to have to be targeting a rebuilding team. You're not going to get away with pulling him away from another contending team. All of the players on this list will abide by that rule that you're not going to be able to pull him off a contending team more than likely. The only way that maybe happens is if you're dealing from a position of strength to a position of their weakness, and you're just kind of flipping those positions laterally to help out both teams. So price-wise, you're probably looking at a Dynasty first and second, along with a young running back too, kind of like a Gibson or a Montgomery. Like I said, it's not going to be a buy low. When you wrap it all up, though, Saquon Barkley just has such a higher ceiling and such a higher capability of scoring fantasy points than any of those other running backs. Moving on to trade target 2, that is Hollywood Brown, wide receiver on the Baltimore Ravens. Oddly enough, I even traded for Hollywood Brown in a league. I traded away Robert Woods and Keenan Allen, got back Hollywood Brown and 2 first-round picks. So far, I've been pretty darn happy with that deal. I was actually working in a rebuild where I was just trying to get him for a future player, but now I have those 2 first-round picks on top of it that I'm going to utilize to do some damage with in the draft this season. But looking at Hollywood Brown and why he's actually a great target, great matchups rest of the season. The hardest matchup he's actually going to have to face is going to be the Green Bay Packers, which, as a Green Bay Packer fan, the biggest problem we have is with anybody who has any speed, gets behind us very easily and can burn us down deep, no problem. The other problem we have is rushing quarterbacks, which Lamar Jackson, hello, how do you do? Another big thing for him is that he's actually finally healthy. He hasn't had a lot of knick-knack injuries all year long. He's been pretty steady all year. On top of that, he's currently Lamar's favorite target, without a doubt. That defense is playing pretty terribly more often than not, and they have 0 rushing attack besides Lamar, and they need to create offense somehow. So when it comes to the price, you're probably looking at a young wide receiver 2 or 3 type range, probably like a Rondale Moore, Jalen Waddle, or a Michael Pittman, along with a first and second round pick. Like I said, these aren't always going to be cheap. Moving on to my third player on this list, that is James Robinson, running back on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the biggest deal with him is his long-term value is very questionable because, being an undrafted rookie, they grabbed Travis Etienne in the draft this year. He doesn't have really anything for contract security. However, you like to think that with how he's played on the field, he's going to lock down a deal somewhere and be utilized properly. Ever since week 3, he's pretty much been a running back 1 and the only functional, consistent part of that Jaguars offense. Now, when it comes to the price, this is going to be very subjective. Because of his future uncertainty, if you're buying from a rebuilding team, you might be able to get him fairly cheaply, if another contending team hasn't already done that. I think you could probably throw a first and a prospect like Elijah Moore at him and probably pull him away pretty easily. You might even be able to throw a second round pick along with a little bit of a higher level of upside prospect, maybe again someone like a Michael Pittman. Moving on to the 4th target on this list, and that is Cooper Kupp, wide receiver of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I know you probably cringe there a little bit too, because just like I do, that it's not going to be an easy grab. Cooper Kupp has been on the tear of tears this season so far, with Matthew Stafford now at quarterback, and that offense being arguably more efficient than they ever have been. But if I'm contending and I need a wide receiver to get through the bye weeks and the rest of the season, Cooper Kupp is my number 1 target. He's likely still at least has another year of output, so his long-term value is pretty solid too. And then when you look at his schedule the rest of the season, it is pretty darn solid. Like I mentioned, it's not going to be easy though. You're probably going to have to throw a young wide receiver prospect like a Devonta Smith, along with a couple of first-round picks, and maybe even another prospect on top of that at an adjacent position like a running back or a tight end. And you're only going to be able to buy him from a rebuilding team. This week, I will be doing literally everything I can to get Cooper Kupp shares on all of my contending teams. The last player on this list is going to be Austin Eckler, the running back on the Los Angeles Chargers. Another player that is not going to come cheaply, RB2 in most scoring formats so far this season, has a great rest of season schedule, and like James Robinson, has already passed his bye week. He's part of a high-power offense where he's not only getting running work, but he's also getting plenty of receiving work, if not more receiving work. And while he does carry some injury risk, he does carry a boatload of high reward upside. Now, when it comes to the price on this, it's going to be similar to buying Saquon Barkley. The only difference here is you're actually trying to acquire a healthy running back. So again, you're going to have to target a rebuilding team with a young RB2, likely a first and a second, and probably an additional prospect. Pick someone on your taxi squad and throw them their way, throw a couple their way if you have to. You have to try to make these deals worth it for these teams to move these players. Like I said, it's not always buy lows because most teams aren't ever selling low. The reason I decided to roll with a trade targets video this week as opposed to waiver wire video is just simply because I didn't feel like there was a ton of waiver wire ads that were worth talking about. However, I will be sure to drop my favorite waiver wire targets in the comments, and I hope you do too. And if you're a contending team, I do hope you check out the waiver wire videos on the channel just to make sure you have all your depth pieces locked up that you possibly can. I do hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did. I will see y'all tomorrow for my IDP waiver wire video, but until then, y'all have a good one.